Salutations, comrades. True Seeking will be back with another one. We're back on our program, man. Back on our program. Now that the weather's got a bit warmer and everything, I'm back on that shit, man. Back on them runs. Back on that fitness grind. Trying to keep my mind occupied. Trying to stay healthy, of course. Today is Sunday. Hope all you good brothers are keeping well. And I mean that. But yeah, this is my post-run rant. We're back on it, back on that time. And I just want to share some of my thoughts with you on this somber Sunday. And it's such a beautiful day today, to be honest. You know, if, I don't know how this is going to sound, but on days like this, they are beautiful days to die. Honestly, these are the days you can happily check out, man. And it's just like, yeah, peace out, man. Deuces, bitches, man. Like, it's one of them days where you feel somber. You know, you got that impending doom and threat of Monday lurking over your head, and then you just accept it and you become okay with it, you know. That monotony of wage slavery. But as I was going on my run, I did encounter some things which, you know, made me want to make this video, and I want to share it with you good brothers. Man, I have seen so many people, couples, families today, because the weather's nice, eating ice creams, you know, holding hands, pushing buggies with the dogs, right? And I feel so indifferent. But because I care about the minds and the hearts of men, I care about women too, but not to the extent I do of men, because our suffering and our struggles in this world is quite exclusive. It's quite unique and tailor-made for us. You know, there's a lot of people that try to downplay our pain and say, you know, do yourself up by the bootstraps, right? Like these fucking out-of-touch boomers, right? And yeah, to some degree, there's some element of truth to that. You know, if you're some, you know, useless guy and you ain't got no motivation at all, you do have to dig deep at some point. But I think when boomers say, you know, it's a bit of a slap in the face, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that facilitated the system being, you know, made to entrap us. You know, they're the ones that signed up for all the programs and bought into all the dreams that were sold to them. And they decided to have a lot of children. You know, they decided to believe in the system because they were very stupid. They were quite naive. They were quite blue-pilled. And that's what I want to actually get into, actually. Because I often do it myself. I see it often in the manosphere, where we call blue-pilled people, right, normies. And I want to make a delineation between the two. I don't think all blue pills are normies, right? It's very similar to like Jews and Zionists, right? Like every Zionist is a Jew, but not every Jew is a Zionist. I think that's the same, or the same can be applied to blue pills and normies, right? So with blue pills, or people who are blue pilled, right? They have ignorance as the key defining, you know, ingredient. Right, blue-pilled is a very arbitrary term. So is normie, but we all know what I'm referring to. But the reason I say that, because blue pills, they are ignorant, right? We was all blue-pilled in regards to some aspects of the world, whether it was relationships, family, work, friendships, whatever it may be. A lot of us are blue-pilled in some regard. And then we eventually go down that, you know, that path, that journey of going from blue-pilled to red-pilled to black-pilled to white-pilled to clear-pilled, what have you, right? But a lot of them are ignorant. And they're only a traumatic experience, right? Or a heartbreak, or a betrayal, or some form of incident in their life to take them towards a path of truth-seeking and knowledge-gathering. And this is a fact, right? Normies, on the other hand, and it's a great term. Whoever made up the term normies, I love it, because it, you know, it defines them quite aptly, you know, if I'm being honest. But normies, right, are people who have been conditioned, right? They no longer can depend on ignorance, for a pass. They're people who believe the standard narrative. They're people who never go against the status quo. In fact, they're more, I wouldn't say they're more dangerous, because then we're splitting hairs, and then, I don't want to go into those sorts of rabbit holes, but I would say, for all intents and purposes, they may be more dangerous, because blue pills are ignorant, but they're also curious. Normies are indoctrinated, and they repeat the lies that they've been told, right? A normie, someone that's going to tell you, hey, have kids, settle down, you're getting old, man up, be an adult. All they do is rabbit the same talking points that we've been hearing for ages and eons, and we're sick of it. Because why should we feed the beast system? Questions, right? Of course, we got to do things in order to survive. Let's not, beat around the bush. But because the system's been set up so perfectly, a lot of the things we do to survive, it still benefits the system anyway, right? It's not like you could just disappear off grid and live as a nomad and get away with it that way, because I'm sure you're going to suffer. I'm sure you lack the skills, and I'm sure you lack the resources in order to do that, because a lot of us would do it. But I do respect people who live in their vehicles, though. I wouldn't do it personally. I looked into it. It does look like it can be very cost efficient, and, you can probably save up a lot of money, and then you could go to another country and stack as much bread as possible. But I respect that, people who live in their vehicles. But I'm in the UK, and there's laws where they could get on your ass about that as well. So you got to be constantly moving around and looking over your shoulder, or you might get fined, or worse, imprisoned, right? But, sorry, back on topic, sorry to segue. But with the normies, they're indoctrinated, and they rabbit the talking points. They're the ones that actually shut us down. They're the ones that actually argue with us, right? Sometimes you'll go online and you'll see debates or discourse, right? And you'll see blue people who you will class as blue-pilled, right? And they're actually curious about the topics. They're curious to hear your opinions, right? I'm not talking about liberals, because liberals, they're the worst, in my opinion. But in terms of just ignorance, they will hear your point of view. They will hear the emotional aspect. They'll hear the logical aspect. And then they will have some sort of rationale in, what they come up with. They might not disagree. They might not agree with you, right? They could very well disagree with you, but they may provide you that knowing that, okay, look, I don't quite see it that way, but I at least understand where you're coming from, right? Normies, on the other hand, they'll call you a weirdo. They'll call you strange. They're the ones that, they're going to make sure that you're ostracized. Why? Because you're challenging the status quo. I didn't see that on the news. I didn't read that in a book. I didn't learn that from school. And that is the delineation. That is the problem, right? Because I've spoken to blue pills. I work with people who are blue pilled. And they're the ones, they know about conspiracy theories, quote unquote. Because that's a term that the CIA came up with to discredit people who are whistleblowing and exposing them. But just for the unaware and the layman, right? Blue pills are interested in conspiracy theories. Normies ain't. Normies will call it crazy. But time and time again, we keep seeing that a lot of these conspiracy theories are either true outright, or there's elements of truth within them. They're not just made up stories. They're not just fantasy. They're not just fiction. That's bullshit. But those blue pills, right? And I hate to say this, because I've made videos where I'm going in on people with blue-pilled ideology, right? But those people that do have blue-pilled ideologies, there's some saving for them, right? And I said this when I started my channel. I used to say it to guys in the comments, especially in the comment section, especially people who might just come across the videos and, they disagree, or they're detractors, right? Because some of the things I say about women, they may not agree with. And I won't say they're normies. Some of them may have been, but whenever they decide to air their grievances or voice their opinions, I assume, or I take it at face value, that they are blue-pilled. So I say to them, look, get into your relationships, stand up for the women, right? Be that white knight, and just know, all of the things that I discuss, all of the things that are in the manosphere, This is not a conspiracy theorist. You can't just dismiss this by saying, oh, who hurt you? Because everyone gets hurt. It's part of the course of being a human. This is pathology, right? We're watching the behaviors. We know how it ends. You know, when somebody watches a film, let me break it down a bit, right? I'm sorry, I'm a bit tired, so I'm not as coherent as I would like to be. But let's say that you're watching a film with someone, right? You've already seen the film, and you know, this is their first time watching it, right? That's how we are. We people who are blackpill, people who are even redpilled, Mgtow, whatever. Like, we're the people, we've seen the film already, bro. Whether it happened to us ourselves, whether we got snaked and betrayed by a girlfriend or wife, right? Or seen it happen to our friends and family. We're that guy. We're the guy. We've seen the film, right? So when you're watching it for the first time, you're like, yo, this is amazing. Like, you're asking questions. And then when we tell you things, you're like, oh, don't spoil it for me. Don't spoil it for me. That's them guys. Those are the guys that are in relationships. Those are the guys that are white knighting. They don't want it to be spoiled. So I always say, look, get your girlfriend, live your blue-pilled existence, act like everything's normal, act like everything's okay. Lie to yourself, right? Don't trust your instincts. Dismiss all knowledge and all, you know, experiences that are being shared online, and live your movie, bro. Live your truth. And when you get your heart broken, when you get your family destroyed, when your Disney programming starts to unravel in front of your eyes, these channels, these spaces will be here to embrace you. We'll be here to embrace you, right? No one's going to turn around and say, oh, I told you so, or laugh in your face. No, because you're ignorant. Right? And that's why I wanted to make that delineation, because I don't want guys to just think, oh, we're just bitter and horrible. Because you could be blackpilled, you could be Mgtow, you could still enjoy women. You just know that you're not going to commit to them. You just know that, you know, their behaviors and the way that they view you in the confines of a relationship is never going to change, because she's not a unicorn. She's the same as everyone else. She's not a unicorn. Once you've got no more resources to extract, once she's bored of you, she's going to replace you and spit you out like some used chewing gum. So if you're aware of that out the gate, and you don't think that you're the one guy in the world, you're the one guy in this universe that found the unicorn, right, that nonsense, that garbage, then I'm sure you can enjoy them at your own discretion, right? But don't live with them. Don't get married. Don't be serious. Then, hey, if you're a good-looking guy and you could go out there and you want to have some, you know, some mid-risk encounters, by all means, go ahead. Because I'm not a hypocrite. I'll do it too. You know, I already told you I had to cut off the last one, right? Because I've been single for ages, actually, for about 2-3 years, 2.5-3 years. So I had to cut off my, what's it called? What do they call it now? Sneaky links, situationship, because the truth came out. The truth came out. She's talking about marriage. She's talking about being serious. And I'm just messing around with her for a couple months. And I didn't cold approach her, right? I warm approached her, right? When I saw her, I looked at her and, you know, she was looking at me. And then I just waved at her, she waved back, and I thought, all right, cool, I'm going in for the kill. And it sounds goofy as silly, but I'm a man who escort maxes, right? I don't really want serious relationships, but to me, that's an invitation. And it ended up how it ended up, so I was definitely reading the room, right? I got to enjoy her throat and her box, and that's it. But she let me know the truth. And she thought it was a flex. Oh, not to me. She thought I was going to grovel. She thought I was going to beg. No, I laughed at her. Because she wasn't special. I didn't have any feelings for her. I didn't love her or nothing. Just keeping it real. But she let me know if she was trying to mess around and whatnot, she would have went for a guy that's better than me, that looks better than me, that's taller, that's more attractive, etc., etc. Why would she tell me that? Because the mask came off. And me personally, I love when the masks come off, because that is the truth. That is the part of them that's always there that you're blind to. Because you've got these neurochemicals brainwashing you like you're an ant, like you're a worker bee. You can't even think or see straight. Them chemicals don't even work in my mind anymore. Them shits are switched off. Them shits are defunct, right? But when I heard it, I loved it, because I was like, yes. Yes, you saw a guy that You know, you're tired of getting ran through now, and you thought, oh yeah, you know, you're into black guys, so you're like, oh yeah, he looks a bit older, he got his own place, he looks like he got his life sorted out, which is partially true. I'm getting there, but that's why, because she wanted help, she wanted safety. She probably thought this guy's not that good looking either, so you know, I'm gonna be able to manipulate him and that. And no, sorry, didn't work, not happening. We used each other. I used you for your body. You used me to have some Chinese and some alcohol. And hey, if that's what you're going for, I'm happy to pay it, bruv. I'm happy to pay it. Why not? But no feelings, though. No gumption. No manipulation. No. As soon as I found out the truth, peace, deuces, bye. And that's it. End of. And I know when guys are in, you know, serious relationships and their emotions are invested in that, it's not as easy for them to do it. And I hear it a lot in the red pill spaces where guys will just say, oh yeah, man, you just got to walk away, man. But you're not telling the full picture. When you tell a man to just walk away, that's fine when you're just casually seeing them. That's why I'm Mgtow. That's why I'm like, bro, I will never seriously deal with them. Imagine being in a house with a woman, you're breaking up, you got to live with her, you got to get kicked out or kick her out. Imagine the drama that's going to come. Imagine the vengeance that's going to be plotted on you. Imagine the hatred that's going to build at the end. Some guys even Chris Benoit the whole house. They can't deal with it. What, get divorced, lose half my things? No, I'm not going for that. What, you're going to take my kids away? Yeah, I would love to just style on them and laugh at them and just be like, you fools. But I'm not as heartless as I believe myself to be. Like, I can't. Like, I feel sorry for them dudes, man. And even today on my jog, you know, I know, sorry, this is a random ramble anyway, so is what it is. It's a bonus video for Sunday. But even when I was on my run, you know, I'm seeing all these guys pushing prams with their, you know, their bald patches and their fat stomachs. I'm like, you fools don't see it coming, man. You're eating ice creams and playing happy families. And bro, you're just a few years away from that knife, that dagger being plunged into your back, being plunged into your kidneys, bro. You're never going to see it coming. And I know them guys, look, I could tell from the look of them guys are stressed. There's another one there. I don't think you lot can see it, but I wouldn't put people in the video. But if you look in the distance, another gump pushing pram. Where's the mum? The mum's probably, oh yeah, I'm gonna go see my mum for the weekend. You don't know what she's doing. Again, look, bald guy, 2 children, one in. Come on, bro. Like, respectfully, like, I don't wanna insult them, but it's like, why do you guys do it? Same shit all the time. You're gonna get your heart broken, bro. It's only a matter of time. And then the children, what's gonna happen to them? They're gonna be put into disarray. They're gonna be put into awkward situations. They're gonna be put into blended families. And if a guy comes in and he decides that, oh yeah, I'm gonna impregnate this woman and have some more kids and add to the equation, they're gonna get pushed to the wayside. And then you're going to have a weird and uncomfortable relationship, right? With some random dude, bruv. Oh my, bruv, listen, I would be livid. Like me, I'm a reasonable man, right? I'm a cool guy, but I'm somebody that I'm very like protective over my space. Like I would hate to have some random guy up in my business, bruv. Like imagine how weak of a man you must be to arrange a blended family or to be a stepdad. That is just a joke. Like some random guy who you don't know coming to your house on the weekend to pick up children, bruv. Like what the fuck? And the only sort of rapport that you have with him is that you was boning the same woman. Like what is that shit, bro? That shit is ludicrous, bro. Like that's some clown world shit. You shout at his child, next thing you know, you got to run fades with guys and that. Like, what are we doing, bro? What are we doing? Why would you want to run fades with someone because you're boning the same woman? That's crazy. Because your kids aren't getting along. Because you're buying them more gifts. You're buying your children more gifts, and his children are getting pushed to the wayside. Now the original father's got an issue. Now you got to watch your back. You might end up on the 5 o'clock news. You might end up in jail because you had to put someone away. And at the end of it, who is always unscathed? Who is always laughing? Who always moves on and continues the same repetitive behavior? The dysfunctional, uncooperative, unruly woman. She's always going to be the one that sets off into the sunset. She's the one that tells the story. She's the one that makes the social media posts. But nothing happens to her. In fact, she's going to use it to filter for more men. A never-ending void of hopelessness, strife, contention, and chaos. Oh yeah, it's me, I'm the one that, my baby father, if you saw that news article, she's gonna pin the bloody news article to a TikTok or Instagram post and say, yeah, 2 years ago today, my baby father killed my child's father. Oh, woe is me. And then she's gonna go through all the comments, and then as soon as the 7s and the 8 guys start rolling up, she's gonna be like, oh, thank you so much, you're so kind. Then niggas are gonna start sliding in her DMs because you guys know what's going on. Oh yeah, that's food. She's wounded, that's a weakened animal. Let me get in there with your thirst and your desperation. But I hold them accountable too. She knows what she's doing. She knows what's going on. She's not stupid. I don't get it, man. See, even guys that play music and are enjoying themselves on a Sunday, and I'm just here ranting and rambling and waffling. Man. But that's enough for me. I just wanted to have a little rant, get some shit off my chest, man. I'm tired as fuck. Still mentally preparing for Monday. Hope you brothers are locked in as well. Breathe, man. Breathe. But peace out, boys. Midweek, we'll be back with something. I'm cooking up something good for you, brothers, man. Peace.